10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Already Not Yet.
As it is for people, so too it is for nations. The podcast which pulls back the dark veil from the world you live in while helping you to make sense of complex issues facing the peoples and nations.
Now the day that the Lord rained down, the sky screamed with rage through the clouds. You're gonna pay for the hell that you done, and that crop won't ever come. You laughed in the face of the Lord. You joked in the presence of God. And now the rain's gonna burn like the sun, and that crop won't ever come. The devil's rising. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The devil's rising. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That crop won't ever come. You howl like a wolf in the night. You prowl where you once saw the light. You can pray for the rain, for the sun, but that crop won't ever come. The devil's rising. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The devil's rising. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That crop won't ever come. 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 The devil's rising. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The devil's rising. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The devil's
They serve the wind, and now they are going to reap the whirlwind.
So I'd like to tell you a little story. Where I'm at right now used to be my grandfather's old place. He was a farmer. I learned a lot about the land and weather and what it takes to actually grow food, to grow anything. And that provided the basis for me understanding all kinds of metaphors for life and the things of life, including the concept of sowing and reaping. You know, we often use that in terms of financial. So, my grandfather was an amazing man. He had the patience of Job. He had unshakable faith in God, and I rarely ever saw him get angry, lose his cool, and he was always forgiving and full of wisdom, and he hardly had any education whatsoever. But he had more wisdom than most people I ever meet, and most people that run countries nowadays, and a lot of them that run companies. It wasn't just practical wisdom, it was applied wisdom for life. So, he always bought whatever he had to buy with cash. He always saved his money, and he didn't live extravagantly. He bought what he needed for he and his grandma and my mom at the time when she was living with him. She was a kid. And he always was a reconciler, helped people. Everybody kind of came to him and looked to him for wisdom and understanding. And as he worked right up until a few years before he died. And what got him was a second round of dealing with non-Hodgkin's. Long before that, my grandmother got very sick and wound up having to be put in a nursing home. There wasn't a single day when he'd finished the work he had to do here on the farm that he wouldn't go and see my grandma. Regardless of the weather, regardless of how tired he was, regardless of what was going on, he always was there to spend time with her. Now, how do you think he paid for that? He always paid his taxes, right? Do you think Medicare and Medicaid took care of him? No. While you idiots in D.C. were handing the money of people like my grandfather out to people not to work, you plundered people like my grandfather to do it. You plundered his savings. Did he have life insurance and health insurance? Of course he did. But your entire system was built to devour. And now it's time to pay the consequences. And you keep devouring. How many other people have you plundered in this country to feed your bottomless pit of greed? Some of you that don't have a strong constitution or intestinal fortitude, you better turn this off right now and put your head in your shadow and wait for the grave to come. Because you're not going to like what I'm going to tell you. While you've been playing the whore and the beast and eating your own people so you could remain in power and gain more wealth, more power, more influence over people, what you've actually been doing is building up the case against you. And that case is before the court of heaven. And you've already lost it. It's just a matter of time before the final sentencing. Whenever I look, wherever I go, I see what your greed, your pride, your avarice and hubris is responsible for. You can point to other countries to divert people from what you've done here. That will not work. You are at your crossroads. They can point to you to divert their people for the things their greedy whores have done. And their evil sons of bitches are doing and plan to do. That will no longer work. You're at the crossroads as well. You have two options. One, you accept responsibility for what you've done. You come clean about it. You take the consequences as they're rendered to you on it and put yourself in a spot to make amends and right the ship, right? Or you will have a day coming soon where you will wish you were dead long before your mortal coils go into the graveyard. Now you can think that your money, your power, your position is going to protect you, but that's self-deception and it's delusion. In fact, it's going to do the opposite. It's going to expose you even faster, and it's going to exponentially increase the consequences and the suffering you're going to have to go through for doing what you've done. Because you're caught in it. And the more that you keep trying to do it your way, the higher the consequences are going to be, the more severe they're going to be, and the more you're going to lose control of it, to the point where you go completely insane, and then by that point you will have exposed what you are, what you've done, and what you're doing, and what you've planned to do to everyone. You see, you're already in a trap of your own making. Never use the word justice if you don't intend to be a just human being. Never demand justice of others while you're committing injustices. For when justice comes, it will render upon you what is justly due you first. Now, everybody's worried about the election and about your markets and about the global economy. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be very blunt with you. If you keep screwing the people that work hard, the people that want to work, that you've locked out of your systems, and you keep going down the same path that you're going, plundering them, woe to you for what is about to happen. Woe to you. Whether you're in America or you're in other countries, whether you're a head of state of a nation or the head of a department in a company or in the C-suite, whether you're a general or whether you're a sergeant. Those of you who want to eat the people that work hard on both sides of them, woe to you. You're about to learn what justice looks like when it comes for you. And I'm not saying this as a political statement, because the weeds aren't on just the left side of the field or the right side of the field. They're all over the field. Woe to you. You see, I watched my grandpa work his ass off, and people just like him and you plundered them. And you invent every day more ways to do that. Oh, you're so clever, aren't you? You think you're going to always get away with it. Well, this time you're not. This whole world will burn and you'll be responsible for it. It will burn you up for what you've done if you don't turn from your way. I warned you, in terms of the nations, if you did certain things years ago, you'd create the conditions where you're not going to be able to get away with playing the games and rerunning the past again and escaping the consequences of what you fear most, which is your total destruction. You don't listen, do you? You crush the weak. You destroy and plunder the widow, the law-abiding, the poor, the orphaned. You enslave the poor and make them into what you are here in this country and many other places. That's a cult. That's not love. That's not looking out for others. That is deceit. That is wickedness. You have no more fig leaves to hide behind, politically, intellectually, ideologically, financially, or anything else. It's just a matter of when 0 hour comes. You're already on borrowed time. If you want to understand how much was sown into this country, look at the confusion in it. You refuse to do what you're told to do to fix the problem because it requires too much from you and you don't have the courage. Oh, you all have big words. You love to parade around like peacocks in front of the cameras. You were told exactly how to deal with this crisis, and you refuse to do it at every level. Now, some leaders showed that they did try. Some leaders did the best they could. Some leaders are still trying to do that. But many more, no, you didn't. There is no amount of machination or intrigues that it's going to get you out of what you have started now, regardless of what level you operate. You are caught in your own trap. You are at your crossroads. What are you going to choose? You're running out of time. Make your choice. None of this stuff is going to play out the way that you think it is, eschatologically or otherwise. But it is going to play out exactly the way it was supposed to. The only question is, who are you? What is your choice standing at the crossroad? The broad way, to the left or to the right, or down the middle, down the narrow way?
Hey, blind boy, come over here. What's your name, Four Eyes?
My name Willie Brown, sir.
What you doing on these crossroads alone, Willie Brown?
Robert Johnson told me I can make a deal here.
A deal? With who?
Robert said a man called Legba. You him?
No. I'm his assistant. me see here. You got to tell me what's on your mind, Willie Brown.
I got $2.
Well, your green don't buy nothing down where Legba come from, boy. Now you want to play like Robert Johnson? You want to play like Petey Wheatstraw? Well, say goodnight to your soul, son. Go on, blind boy. Sign. Be here before 12 every Saturday night. And you learn them blues. Boy, about that $2? I'm running a little low on gas. See you in hell, blind boy.
You have ruined your country by your folly, your foolishness, your arrogance, your stupidity, your insecurity, your mediocrity, your avarice, and your hubris. What is your choice? Because if your default setting by not making one is what you are left with right now, you're doomed. You made the wrong choice. I told you, if you went the way of Babylon, you would pay the consequences thereof. You did go the way of Babylon, and you're increasingly paying the consequences thereof. What is your choice going to be? Because you are running out of time. Years ago, I had a dream. This is many years ago. And I saw what looked like an explosion, almost like a mushroom cloud. And when that mushroom cloud looking explosion occurred, in the column, thin column, that is the vacuum, sucking everything up into the top, I saw money going into it. And it was in very few hands. And it was destroying everything else while it was getting control of everything through the money. The thing that struck me about it was it destroyed the very thing it needed to actually maintain power. It was, in a sense, suicide. Geopolitical, geofinancial, geoeconomic suicide. Now, you can't tell me some of you that are billionaires, the uber rich ones, are really that damn genius. You're really that smart. Because you're not. Some of you are clever. Some of you have done well with, using what you've had to do what you've done. But there's always a cost associated when you start allowing what you think you have amassed to determine your identity and your worth and value over others. Then it becomes a millstone around your neck. The same thing goes for organizations, companies, and nation states, governments. If you think you're so powerful because you have wealth and you have influence, you are about to learn a very, very hard lesson. It's probably going to be the last lesson you'll ever learn as a mortal human being with mortal coils in the temporal before you meet your shadow on the ground. You're going to learn just how deceived you are. Now, this isn't about money. It may sound like it. Money is but the root of, it's the root of many evils, but not all of them. But I've scarcely met somebody that is extremely wealthy in the billionaire class that's humble, that doesn't think that the universe revolves around them. There's a reason why we say that it's easier for a camel to walk through the eye of a needle than a rich man to inherit the kingdom of heaven. Because what generally comes with great wealth and great power and great influence in the temporal is a great cost to your soul. Because you become so enamored with what you've done and what you think you have that you don't need God, do you? You don't think God even exists. You don't think that anything applies. The whole world is, you can do anything, right? You can get away with anything when you've got enough money. You could destroy entire societies, right? Isn't that what you think in Beijing? How about you in Moscow at the Kremlin, Putin? You've made enough money. You're one of probably maybe one of the wealthiest men, if not the wealthiest man on earth, right? When you go and sit in your Russian Orthodox church, does it ever cross your mind, if they ever say the scripture, about a camel walking through the eye of a needle? What does it profit a man to gain the entire world and lose his own soul? I'm speaking to you, Putin. Vladimir, if you're going to go and sit on a pew and pretend to be religious, every word that you hear, you're responsible for. If you actually believe those words, you need to get on your knees and ask God to humble you and show you what you are responsible for. Because you can't have both. You will lose your kingdom and all your wealth and power when you die. And that day draws nearer with every breath that you take. The same goes for you, Emperor Xi. There's not a whitewash white enough to whitewash the darkness inside of you. If you want to go down the road again, you will not have the same ending that you would like to try to rewrite. It's going to cost you everything, and it's going to destroy your nations. And you're going to go into holes in the ground, and you're going to hide like the cowards that you are, with your power stripped from you, when the day comes that you are absolutely and totally crushed. And all of those like you. Your nations have no high ground to stand upon any more than this one I'm standing in right now in America. You have failed to use what you have and do rightly by it. You have failed what you say that you believe in many cases. You are duplicitous liars, thieves, and murderers. And you've sown the wind, and you will reap the whirlwind. And your money and your power and your influence will be like used toilet paper with shit on it when that day comes. And it's coming sooner than you think. You know, hell is filled with the rotting eternal souls of the uber rich throughout the ages. It isn't what you have. It's how you got it, how you use it, and what position it takes in your heart. Where is your treasure stored? Here? Where you're going to be buried? Like the pharaohs of old, did they take theirs? No, we put their shit in a museum. Did Mao take any of his kingdom with him? No. You can see his rotten, dead carcass still in Beijing. How about Lenin? Shall I go down the list? You don't learn a damn thing from history because you don't want to, because you love your pride and your lies more than you love your own soul. I pity you for what you're going to endure. I pity the people that live in your countries for what they're going to have to endure because of you. Putin, you should have actually paid attention to what Solzhenitsyn said, not used him. But you used him. He'll be judging your ass, you know that, right? You have sown the wind in leadership in this world. You have yet to see what the whirlwind actually is going to be. And that rotting carcass, the Ayatollah sitting in Tehran, who are you to judge anybody? We know what you are and your regime is. Are you ready to go to hell? Because you will not be going to paradise. This is as close to paradise as you'll ever get. Your people will eat the flesh off your bones for what you've done. You arrogant fool. You peddler of lies. You false teacher. You false prophet. You false leader. You son of Belial. And all those like you, whose father is the father of lies. You will be crushed for what you've done to God's creation and to the peoples, tribes, and nations, you corrupt whores. You will be shaken so hard that your atoms will start falling apart. You persecute my brothers and sisters. You persecute people that are just trying to live their lives, and you rule over them like gods. Well, you're going to die like the mortal, worthless pieces of shit that you really are. And then you're going to burn for eternity for what you've done. And those that went there before you will be your torturers. Now back to my country. You know why you're going to get your ass kicked in the next war? Your arrogance, your greed, your avarice, and your hubris. If you don't wake up. If you want to live like a shark, you're going to be eaten by them. Rome thought it was never going to fall either. You've got more vulnerabilities than you have strengths now. Until you let go of your pride, you will not see how to actually turn that around. you only sow more vulnerabilities. Just like they're creating a bigger problem on Wall Street, Silicon Valley, and in D.C. by not doing the right thing to help the people. Because you don't want to do anything that requires something of you. Now, do you? It's great to talk big words about sacrifice when it's other people's lives you're sacrificing. It's other people's livelihoods you're sacrificing. It's other people's jobs and opportunities and hopes and dreams you're sacrificing. What are you sacrificing them to? The altar of your own pride. There's no honor in that. You've gotten all the honors you'll ever get if you don't humble yourselves. Your technology is a glass house. All of yours. Doesn't matter where it is around the world. Everything you make, something of the maker is in it. If you're corrupt, you sow your corruption into everything you make. If you are arrogant, you do the same. What do you think that is going to yield in outcomes? You are at your crossroads. What are you going to choose? America, you are at your crossroad. What are you going to choose? Because your circus of binary bullshit is not going to suffice anymore. You cannot continue to do what you're doing and expect a different result. You will only get more consequences, and they will only be more severe. Six companies around the world provide 90-something% of the hearing aids. Tell me, why does it cost $3,000 to $4,000 for elderly on fixed incomes to get a fucking hearing aid? That's a small thing, right? That's just one little ID point, but to them it's a huge thing. And to me, that is a big problem. It shows what a deeper problem we have is occurring here and in Europe and in the Far East. You are devouring the people you were called to protect, to look out for, and you're going to pay the consequences. Your global economy will be annihilated. But not from the bottom this time. They're coming for you. So you better keep digging those holes in the ground. You better keep stocking up on food for the next 20 years. You can keep self-deceiving yourselves all the way into your little snake holes where the rest of the vipers go to hide when the day comes. But it will not be of any use to you. You will have chosen right now at your crossroads unwisely. The wealth of the hardworking you have plundered is in your houses, in your mansions, in your coffers, in your companies, and you will not take them in your caskets when you die. But you will take your guilt if you don't deal with it now. They don't call this the Valley of the Shadow of Death for nothing. Those of you in the military-industrial complex and the defense industries, you should know that, shouldn't you? Why is it that all of your industries don't pay money to a fund to take care of the families of the men and women that laid their lives down using your shit that you built, fighting the wars, half-ass, that your politicians you buy off get you into? You can't even fight a damn war, because if you really fight a war and win it, that's bad for the bottom line. Now, isn't it? You are fools. Now you know why all the kingdoms of this earth, this world, right? All the kingdoms of this world pass away. Why there's nothing new under the sun. And if you think that you can rely upon your prowess as a business person, as a politician, as a financier, as a man of war, or any other damn thing here, and get yourself out of the spot that you're in with your own pride, your own avarice, and your own hubris, you're a damn fool. And you're a dangerous one because you're blind to what your vulnerabilities are. And you can't adapt very well when you don't know what you have to adapt to and what reason you need to adapt. Now, can you? If you don't know the kind of war that you're in, you've already lost it. That no longer means you're a soldier. That means you're a prisoner or already a casualty. Which one are you going to be? You are at your crossroads. I've always zigged when everybody else zagged. You're in a trap. You're not going to be able to get yourself out of that trap until you let go of your pride. The more you deny it, the worse the trap will be. The more difficult in complexity it will become, and the more obvious it will become to you, causing you to do even more of the same to worsen your predicament. You are at your crossroads. What is your choice? Do you not understand what time it is? Do you not understand where you are in history? Do you not even understand the words of the book that you say is your faith? I talk to people all across the spectrum. Leaders, people in business, government, defense. And there's one thing that's common with everybody I talk to. They know how broken and screwed up this thing is, and how frustrated they are with you at the top. And what you've done to the system. You have hollowed out and dried up, or in the process of doing so, the very thing that allows you to maintain your purchase in the high places of the land. And that means it's just a matter of time before you come crashing down to the dust of the earth to meet your shadow. How long did you think you could murder my generation and not pay consequences as a nation? How long did you think you could plunder your own people and devour them to pad your bottom lines every quarter? How long did you think that you could get away with manipulating the public to play your games? How long did you think you could get away with poisoning them for profit, for whoring them out to your buddies in other nations to make money off their carcasses? How long did you think you would get away with it? Because you are now at your crossroads. How many senior citizens, your elders, like my grandfather, did you plunder and are still plundering? I pity you for what's about to come on you and what you're responsible for. I pray that you humble yourselves and you turn from it, or God crushes and destroys you and removes you from the face of the earth and sends you to hell. How about that for diplomacy? We will not remain in your crossfire anymore. We will uproot both sides. Do you understand? You are at your crossroads. Make your decision.
As it is for people, so too it is for nations. The podcast which pulls back the dark veil from the world you live in while helping you to make sense of complex issues facing the peoples and nations.
Went to the crossroads, fell down on my knees.
Sometimes it just pass me by. All right.
Sun going down, boy. Nighttime won't catch me here. Ooh, sun going down, boy. Nighttime won't catch me here. I ain't got no loving sweet woman. Let me feel my care. You can run, boy. Tell my friend Willie Brown.
Tell my friend Willie Brown. Run, run, run. Tell my friend Willie Brown I'm standing around. I believe I'm sinking down.
I believe I'm sinking down.
I believe I'm sinking down, mama.